You were married for 20 years, maybe 25, maybe longer. You raised the kids, you ran the house, you held everything together while he built the career. And then the marriage ended, and you moved on. You rebuilt. You figured things out on your own, the way you always had to. But here's what no one told you. You may be entitled to Social Security benefits based on your ex-husband's earnings record, right now, today. And the Social Security Administration? They were never going to call you. They were never going to send you a letter. They were never going to bring it up. That is not a glitch. That is how the system works. They don't volunteer this information, and every month you don't claim it, that money is gone. So let me walk you through exactly how divorced spouse benefits work, what you qualify for, what you don't, and the timing mistakes that cost women thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands, because nobody sat them down and explained the rules. Here's what I hear all the time. I'm divorced. I don't get anything from him anymore. And I understand why you'd think that. The divorce was final. You split everything. You signed the papers. You closed that chapter. But Social Security doesn't work like a divorce settlement. Your benefit as a divorced spouse is not his money. It does not come out of his check. It does not reduce what he gets. He will never even know you claimed it. Let me say that again, because this is the part that stops women from even looking into it. Filing on your ex-husband's record does not affect him in any way. Not his benefit, not his current wife's benefit, nothing. This is your benefit, based on a marriage that lasted long enough to count. And the Social Security Administration already has the records to prove it. You just have to know to ask. So who qualifies? Let me make this clear. You can collect a divorced spouse benefit if 4 things are true. 1, your marriage lasted at least 10 years, not 9, not 9.5, 10 full years. And that's based on the date of marriage to the date the divorce was finalized. 2, you are currently unmarried. If you remarried, this door generally closes, unless that later marriage also ended. Then it reopens. Most people don't know that either. 3, you are at least 62 years old. And 4, your ex-husband is at least 62 as well, even if he hasn't filed for his own benefits yet. This part changed years ago. You used to have to wait for him to file first. That's no longer the case, as long as you've been divorced for at least 2 years. So let me put that together. If you were married for 10 years, you're 62 or older, you're not currently married, and your ex is also at least 62, you likely qualify, and no one was required to tell you. Now here's where the numbers matter, and where the misunderstanding gets expensive. The maximum divorced spouse benefit is 50% of your ex-husband's full retirement age benefit. But, and this is important, that 50% only applies if you wait until your own full retirement age to claim it. If you file early, at 62, it gets reduced permanently. Let me give you a real scenario. Say your ex-husband's full retirement age benefit is $2,400 a month. Your divorced spouse benefit at full retirement age would be $1,200. But if you file at 62, that could drop to around $850. Maybe less, depending on your birth year. That's a difference of $350 every single month for the rest of your life. And here's the part most people miss. If your own benefit, based on your own work record, is higher than the divorced spouse benefit, Social Security will pay you the higher of the two. You don't get both stacked on top of each other. So this matters most for women who spent years out of the workforce, who worked part-time, who earned less because they were holding the family together in other ways. This benefit exists specifically for people in that situation. It was designed for you, but it only works if you know about it. Now let me talk about timing, because this is where I see the most costly mistakes. Some women hear about this at 61 and rush to file the moment they turn 62. That's almost always wrong. If you file for divorced spouse benefits early, the reduction is permanent. There's no going back to get the full amount later. And here's another layer. When you file for divorced spouse benefits, Social Security may also pull in your own retirement benefit at the same time. It's called deemed filing. You don't get to pick one now and switch to the other later, not the way you used to. So if your own benefit is small at 62 and the divorced spouse benefit is also reduced at 62, you could end up locked into a lower amount on both sides. The timing of when you file changes everything, and the decision is irreversible. That's why you don't just file because you can. You file because you've looked at the numbers and the timing makes sense for your specific situation. Now, I need to address something painful. The 10-year marriage rule is a hard line, and I've heard from hundreds of women who fell just short. 9 years and 8 months, 9 years and 11 months. It doesn't matter how close you were. If the divorce was finalized before the 10-year mark, you do not qualify, period. And here's the part that makes this worse. Some divorce attorneys never mention this. Some of them rush the paperwork without understanding what a few extra months of legal marriage would have meant for their client's retirement. If you are currently going through a divorce and you are close to that 10-year line, talk to someone who understands this. Do not finalize early without knowing what you may be giving up. And if you already passed that line and it's too late, I'm sorry. I know how that feels. It's not fair. But knowing the rule now still matters, because you may have other options to strengthen your retirement, and we'll talk about some of those in future videos. This is another question I get constantly. He remarried. Does that mean I lose my benefit? No, absolutely not. His new wife can collect spousal benefits on his record, and you can collect divorced spouse benefits on his record at the same time. Neither one of you is affected by the other. Social Security doesn't treat this as a competition. It's not a pie being divided. These are separate entitlements based on separate qualifying rules. His new marriage does not cancel your 10 years. And I want to be very direct here. If anyone has told you otherwise, they were wrong. Now I need to talk about something that most women don't think about until it's too late. If your ex-husband passes away, you may be eligible for a divorce surviving spouse benefit, and this one is larger. Instead of 50%, a surviving divorced spouse can receive up to 100% of what he was receiving, or what he was entitled to. The rules are slightly different. You generally need to be at least 60. The 10-year marriage rule still applies. And your remarriage status matters, but the cutoff is different here. If you remarried after age 60, you can still qualify. This is where the money can be significant. We're not talking about a partial benefit anymore. We're talking about potentially doubling what you thought you'd receive. And again, Social Security will not contact you when he dies. They will not say, by the way, you may be owed a larger benefit now. You have to know. You have to ask. You have to file. If you had a former spouse who has already passed and you haven't looked into this, please do. You may be owed money right now. I want to take a moment here because I know what some of you are feeling. You're angry, and you should be. The Social Security Administration does not proactively inform divorced spouses of their eligibility. They don't flag your account. They don't send a notice when your ex turns 62, or when he files, or when he dies. Their position is that they process claims. They don't advise on them. And in theory, that might sound neutral. But in practice, it means the people who benefit most from this rule, women who are out of the workforce, women who didn't have financial advisors, women who were told the divorce was the end of everything. Those are the exact women who never hear about it. That is not a neutral outcome. So if you're watching this and you're finding out for the first time that you had this right, I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry it took this long, and I want you to do something about it. Here is what I want you to do after this video. First, check your marriage dates, the exact date of marriage and the exact date the divorce was finalized. You need to confirm that 10-year window. Second, create an account on ssa.gov if you haven't already. Look at your own estimated benefit. That gives you the baseline. Third, if you think you qualify, call the Social Security Administration directly or visit your local office. You can ask them to check whether a divorced spouse benefit would be higher than your own. And fourth, if you know another woman who is married for more than 10 years and is now divorced, send her this video. because there is a very real chance she doesn't know either. Nobody explained this clearly. That's not your fault, but now that you know, the next step is yours. And this is the part most people miss. You don't need anyone's permission to claim what was always yours. If you want to understand more about the timing, the strategies, and the specific decisions that could affect your retirement, subscribe to this channel. I'll keep breaking it down for you. Clearly, honestly, the way someone should have done a long time ago.